everybody, Aaron Zamzow here from Fire Rescue Fitness. Today I wanted to give you a brief seminar, webinar, or wherever you're watching this video on functional fitness for the fire service, and really just define and give you a little bit better context as to really what functional fitness is for firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics, and just a little bit more insight into it. Now, on another video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about training and integrating in what we call functional exercises, but I think this great tutorial just to get you started and get the definition in your head, because it's used a lot. You know, in the fitness industry, we talk about functional training, and I'm sure over the last couple of years you've heard about training more functionally or integrating in more functional fitness into workouts to make them help with performance on the fire ground. So we're going to talk a little bit about that really quickly. Just to give you a little brief overview of who I am. My name is Aaron Zamzow. Obviously in fire service, everybody's got a nickname, so Zam it is. And I work for the City of Madison Fire Department. I also have a company called Fire Rescue Fitness. I've been writing in the fire service now for over 10 years. FR1 Firehouse, Lexipol. I'm very blessed to be able to do that. Before I got involved in the fire service, I was a full-time trainer and a coach, fitness coach, worked with NFL athletes, general population. And then when I got in the fire service, I realized there was a huge disconnect between what happened on the fire ground and how we were training physically and working out. So from there, I started Fire Rescue Fitness, and I used myself as an example because if you've ever heard me speak before, I'm like the Rudy of the fire service. I'm not very talented, not very gifted. Yeah, thanks, Mom and Dad. But I use good common sense and fitness principles to keep up and hopefully pass up everybody on that second bottle with some good fitness. So from there, Fire Rescue Fitness was created. So I hope after you listen and watch this video, go check out a lot of the different resources I got there. We have workouts for departments, for individuals, based on what your goal is, what your equipment is, and thousands of first responders all over the country have been very fortunate enough to help them. And I thank you for listening, tuning in, but let's get into it, right? You didn't want to hear me babble on about what the heck I've done. Again, I came from a background of working with professional athletes, and when I used to work with my athletes, we looked at what is their playing field. How do we get them better at their sport? How do we get them better, in this case, as firefighters, EMTs, and medics? How do we get ourselves better as as that firefighter on the fire ground, on the rescue scene, or as that EMT or paramedic? How do we perform better? How can we move patients better? How can we become more mobile? And eventually, we want to perform better because we want to provide the best service, but B, we also want to become more mobile, flexible, because we want to avoid injury. And when I used to work with my pros, I never really trained two of them the same. Football players trained a little bit differently than soccer players. Even within football, we trained defensive backs different than what we trained linemen. In the NBA, forwards and centers may train a little bit differently based on what their job task was. I had a pleasure of working with an NBA first-round draft pick, and he was drafted to rebound, and so we worked a lot of strength and power within the paint, they say, we catered his fitness to what his playing field was and what he needed to improve on. And with firefighters, we need to do the same thing, because look at these athletes. They don't do P90X, they don't do CrossFit. They may do some forms and take some different aspects of each one of those programs, but they cater it to help with their own personal performance. And let's dig into a little bit more in the context of firefighters, EMTs, and medics like ourselves. Again, I am a full-time firefighter. I don't know if I touched on that. I'm an EMT. I've been in Madison for over 15 years, in the fire service for over 20. I was also a volunteer in Golden Valley, Minnesota for 7-8 years. And this is our playing field, and I learned this over the years. Up here, I'm way up north, and we have snow, so that middle picture there of firefighters working on a snowy, slippery roof, I can really relate to that. Now, we don't have as many wildland firefighters as they do maybe out on the West Coast and down south, but that is also part of our playing field. And let's face it, our general population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and when they call 911, we still need to be able to move them and transport them. So the bigger patients, require more muscles, more hands on deck, and a more functional level of fitness. You also see that there's a structure fire. Now this could be one shift right here. You could go from a structure fire, moving a bariatric patient, to a roof, or putting out a wildland fire. And you have to be able to accommodate that physically. And so this is what we train for. It's a really wide variety or vast array of different movements. But I think we can break it down a little bit. And over the years, through FRF and through working with first responders, firefighters, and like yourselves, I've been able to kind of do that, and working with professors and universities on and exercise physiologists. And it came up with really, there's some basic fireground movements. And if we can train physically to be able to do these movements better, it's going to transfer to a better performance. Now, before I dig into these a little too much, let's break it down a little bit. Sometimes you see firefighters, and this is really popular around the firehouses. Hey, what are you doing today for workout? And they'll go down and go do chest and tris or back and bis. A quick note on that: you never isolate just chest and tri or back and bi on the fire ground. And so my question to you is, why are you doing it in the gym? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just asking the question so you get to think a little bit. Now, if you're not going in the gym, my question is, what are you doing to provide service to the community? What are you doing to better yourself every single day? And it doesn't necessarily have to be just for strength and for the physical side of it. As I get excited, you can see, but it's also for the emotional side. We deal with a lot of stressful situations, and fitness can help on that side. And that's going to be a whole nother podcast, a whole nother video, a whole nother post. But I just wanted to get these things into your mindset a little bit, right? Train more functionally. Does chest and tris? Yeah, it looks good on the calendar, but sometimes is it the best thing for the fire ground? I just have to get you to think about that. Personally, I do believe that you can go back to body part training at some point, but if you haven't done full body functional training, you should think about integrating in some full body workouts. Why? Because lifting, carrying, crawling, pulling, hoisting, dragging, climbing, slamming, sledge work, that we do for forcible entry, they all require full body movements. You don't isolate any muscle groups on any one of those. I have a joke, if you've ever watched me present, I say the only person that isolates on the fire ground is a chief when they point to the fire, shoulders. Yep, yeah, fire's over there. But for the rest of us, we do a lot of different things that require full body movements. And so for the purpose of functional training and functional exercise, you would say full body training or exercises that challenge full body are going to be more functional, because they're going to help us lift, carry, hoist, pull, drag, climb, slam, etc. Now, the other thing is that they all involve muscles of the core, because you need to stabilize the core, shoulders, abs, and knees, hips, in order to be able to do those movements. So functionally, when we talk about the fire service, we're talking about these particular movements and motions. As far as a definition for functional training, it's really any exercise or training that helps us perform movements that we do in our daily lives. And this is what we do in our daily lives. It may not be all in one shift, but for the most part, we're doing all this. We're also doing this with sometimes 50 to 60 pounds of gear on in ideal age hot environment. So functionally, when you look at training, you look at exercises that help you do these things better. And that, let me take that a step further and go, how much do you bench, right? And I talked about the chest and tri, and please comment if you agree, disagree on all these different things. I might be on something or onto something, but the bench press, 650 pounds, it's great. I can't do it. And yeah, I am a little jealous, but I've never read a line of duty death where a 650 pound bench press would have gotten that particular individual out of that situation. And again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, are there better alternatives? Yes. Are there more functional alternatives? Yes. And will we cover those in another video? Yes. So stay tuned. But from the standpoint of training functionally, the movements that we do, we twist a lot, we carry, we climb, we drag, we push, we pull, we crawl. It all requires full body. And if you look at a lot of the different equipment that's found in firehouses, these multi-stations or these bench presses, they may not be the best thing that fits the functionality of the fire ground. As far as equipment, I honestly believe body weight, suspension straps like TRX, sandbags, dumbbells, things that allow for more movement patterns are probably and are the most functional for us. So I hope this just wets your whistle a little bit about functional training for the fire service. We have to think a little bit more bigger picture. Now, this obviously I'm talking to a realm of or a spectrum of people that you're uber shape and you need to just fine tune it a little bit, and or if you haven't started working out and you've been contemplating it, the stress of the job, the stress of the fire ground, the chances of injury, the chances of disease, and everything else should motivate you, because ultimately we want to be able to serve our community. Ultimately, we want to be able to give back to that community, and to also provide for our families and to support our crews. And one of the best ways to do that is try to improve, be better every day, and not only physically but mentally, and fitness and consistent fitness is the best way to do that. So think more functionally, look at what you are currently doing. If you're not currently doing something, get started. Go to firerescuefitness.com. You can reach out to me. I have a program I can get you started with. We have programs for all different levels of fitness. We have programs for all different goals, and I'd love to help you out. Please ask any questions, and thank you so much for watching. My email there is zam@firerescuefitness.com. It's kind of cut off a little bit, but remember, every single day, try to get a little bit better physically, try to get a little bit better mentally, and you'll be able to provide a better service to your community. You'll be able to help serve your crew and provide for your family. So thanks for watching, everybody. Reach out. I'll see you again soon.